Are you content? Some of you might be asking, what does it even mean to be content? I've noticed that some people seem to be naturally content. They always seem to be joyful and happy, even when they don't have a lot. And they might be lying in a hospital bed and they're just bubbling over with joy and saying, you know what, there's a lot of people who have it a lot worse than I do. Those are people who are content, not people who fall apart at every sniffle of a cold or every situation that they're in. Most of us, I think, are somewhere in the middle. We have our moments. We have our moments both ways. The Apostle Paul says, now there's a great gain in godliness with contentment, for we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. That's from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. Christian contentment is that sweet, inward, quiet, gracious frame of spirit, which freely submits to and delights in God's wise and fatherly disposal in every condition. Those are words that were written by an author 400 years ago. Jeremiah Burroughs penned those words in a wonderful book called The Rare Jewel of Christian Contentment. The Apostle Paul did not say, don't worry, be happy. That was Bobby McFerrin who said that. But rather, he does say for us to be content in all things. Paul did say that, he says, not that I'm speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation that I'm to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Contentment is a state of being satisfied with whatever you have, and not desiring more. The Bible contains many verses about finding contentment in our relationships with God, and not through accumulating possessions. Some people don't require anything but simple food and shelter, and they're happy. Sometimes the most content people are actually poor by the world's standards. They just want a place to sleep for the night, or they might want a meal. They might be the guy holding the cardboard sign at the entrance to Walmart. And yet they're happy. They don't require a bank account or even a car or even a plan for tomorrow. The worry and contentment seems to be opposite. When we worry, we lack contentment. People who worry about their own security and safety are rarely content. People who fret about the stock market and even the state of their health are rarely content. Jesus tells a story of a man who lacked contentment. It's a parable of the rich fool. His barns were too small. He couldn't store all of his wheat. He had a bumper crop. And so he tore down his old barns, and his plan was to build new ones. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" The parable, I think, is about greed and ambition, but the root of it is the lack of contentment by the man who seemed to have so much, yet he just wasn't satisfied. Contentment also means satisfied. With some people, there's always something out there that they're reaching for, something bigger, something better, a nicer car, a bigger house, a prettier girlfriend, a better job, better toys. The list could go on and on. Another aspect of contentment is trusting in God to provide only what we need. Sometimes our saving for a rainy day, as we like to call it, can become an obsession to us, to gain more and more, never to be content with what we have. Contentment involves trusting God to meet our needs. So often Christians get so involved in the day-to-day activities of earning a living and raising a family that they forget that their real purpose in life is one thing, and that is to serve God. We get so caught up in all of the other trappings of life that we forget that God has called us simply to serve him. I want to close again with quoting again a passage from the Apostle Paul that I quoted earlier. He says, "In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." May God bless you and have a great day.